Okay. I'm going to be responding on the speech for Barbie as an icon of female beauty. And then Barbie has been criticized and then caused a major impact, but not for me. I like Barbie more than princesses. Honestly, I did that. Okay. And then the first claim it was the Barbie causes eating disorders. First of all, child development is really complex. It's depending on the kids itself, and not only the kids, the parents. Do they give enough attention to the kids? Right? They really giving out all the food and whatever they needed, and then the how they play. That's why they're like, oh, it's my kids always playing by themselves, or do I give that attention to them to see what kind of toys they're playing with? Is it only Barbie? That's why the child development, like in the school area, two parents testing their students, like their kids, that if kids that playing with only Barbies and kids the one that are playing with a variety of toys with them, so that makes it two different like impacts on Barbie. So I don't think Barbie really giving a big impact on eating disorders. It's just how much attention that the parents and the teachers and that the living social lives that the kids sees. And then the kids themselves looking at Barbies and then looking at everyday life, what are we gonna see? So I want to be slimmer. I want to be thinner. It's not only looking at Barbies, looking at how those people's, well, we have an increased amount in obesity during the last couple of years. That's already looking at seeing, like, I don't want to be like that. That's also part of it. And then the Barbie doll, or the human Barbie doll is actually the Valeria Lukianova. She doesn't really only breathe and then eating thin air. I watched her on her interviewed in one of the one broadcasting TVs. She's actually a vegetarian, and she also exercised and eat accordingly. That's how she maintained her body. And then she also stated that besides her breast, she didn't do any surgery. She just maintained it on how she thinks that she should look like. And then she also stated that she is a human being. She's not a dog. And then to get something done on her or same thing with other people, it's just because people, we want to get our ideal shape. Like, oh, something's wrong with my eyes. I like everything else but not my eyes. I want to get it done. It's the same thing as that. Or sometimes there are a lot of kids that they're mixed race. Like one parent is from one culture and another parent is from the other culture. Oh, I'm hoping my eyes is like my dad. Why do I have my mom's eyes? That's also part of, that's not Barbie. So for me, Barbie is not really affecting anything on why kids or young women, young girls, they want to change something on them. And then why is it insecure? And then on the body, what females feeling insecure on their body images. I've been looking on all of the stars but not many Barbie's issues about how they want to have a thinner body. Most of the issues that are going on with Barbies is actually about the careers and the professionals that Barbie dolls, how many clothes do they have? They have doctors, they have officers, and then they have those. Barbie has a lot of different costumes on how they go on their career and professionals. That's what actually giving a dilemma on a young girls, because they're looking, I want to be that like Barbies. I want to be in that professional side like Barbies. So I don't think eating or making something like all body images get from Barbies. This is like totally different, like totally two different impacts. And then the Oregon State University School of Psychology Sciences, together with the news and research communication, giving it that Barbie only impacted to the smaller range of kids, like 3 to 8, because they're just still playing with dolls, with 4 girls. But then to the young adults, it didn't give any big impact. It's only like, oh, They're good. Barbie is good. That's it. Doesn't really give any amount of beauty in only certain parents and certain kids that think about it like that. Okay, that's ending all my, thank you.
All right, Janet, you identified the topic pretty clearly, but you need to make sure that you remind us of what the claim was that the advocate was making. I know the subject is Barbie dolls and the impact that Barbie has on society, but I don't think that you reminded us exactly what the inference was that the advocate came up with. I think we figure it out during the course of the presentation. It sounds like the advocate was saying that Barbie has a strong negative influence on kids' body images. So that, you know, we're having to make those inferences, though it should be a little bit clearer when you're speaking. I did get the impression that you were trying to follow a secondary structure, but I didn't see signposts on those secondary structures. There wasn't really a preview of what those main points were. There was a label on the first supporting point. On the second point, I kind of am guessing where it was, the same thing with the third point. So don't be shy about using some numerical signposts. When we do the debates later on, it's necessary to do that because you have so many arguments that are being covered by so many people over several speeches that if you don't do that, you'll end up getting lost. The criticism on the first point is basically a counterclaim that child development is really complicated and it's hard to reduce it down to a singular issue. At least I think that's the inference that you want us to make. I did not really understand the example that you had. You were talking about parents watching their kids playing with dolls, and I don't know how that proved anything, whether this was a study that you were referring to or was a hypothetical situation. So as evidence, it doesn't make much sense. And I don't know what the advocate's evidence on this point was because you never really refer to the argument that they present in this particular case. There is kind of a counterclaim on this argument that suggests that everybody wants to be fitter and slimmer. Look, we've got a lot of obesity going on. I guess maybe the answer would be to suggest that if we have childhood obesity, then the solution to the problem is to give all the kids Barbie dolls, and that'll help eliminate childhood obesity. I think in essence, a little bit of ridicule like that, suggesting that that's obviously a silly solution to the problem, also diminishes the argument in general. On the second point, which I thought was the second point, was talking about this human Barbie doll woman. I think you do have some specific counterclaims on this point. You do want to give us source citations for those counterclaims, the information about her. You mentioned that you saw an interview with her, so tell us about that. She says that she only had her breast surgery. That's the only thing that she's had modified, so I think that, you know, that's a piece of factual data. You ought to be able to give us a source citation on that. And then the kind of claim that says, look, everybody would like to adjust something about themselves. That doesn't necessarily show that it's a result of Barbies that they're playing with, you know, that they've got some standard of beauty. And I think you could point out, for instance, there are lots of other things that have an influence on people's self-image. Advertising, television programs, movies, health standards that people come up with, the social envy that we go through every day when we look around and see, you know, all those good-looking people in your class, and you say, gee, I wish I looked like that, or I wish I looked like that. You know, or every time you stare at the front of the room, you say, now that's something that I really should look like. Little facetiousness going on here. All right, on the security issue, I think that was really your third point. Like I said, I think it needs to be a little bit clearer for us. Here I finally got a citation of a specific study that talks about, from Oregon State, that looked at this impact. It sounds like they actually examined the impact on kids, and they said that it's really only likely to have an impact on kids between the ages of 2 and 8 because they're the only ones who play with Barbie dolls. I think that's an interesting point. On the other hand, if that's a formative time and that's when kids get this image in their head of what they're supposed to look like, that might actually feed that particular argument. So I think you need to develop it a little bit more. All right, thank you.